Hello and welcome to Impulse Drive, played in the Coriolis setting. Impulse Drive is a PBTA game by Adrian Thoen. You can find this on DriveThru RPG. The PDF there is a really good PBTA space game. In fact, I recommend you go and do that this week because Adrian's going through some dental bills and specifically mentioned that on Twitter. So if you're watching this, you've been interested in the game, I highly recommend you go and do that and support an independent creator. This is part of the Gauntlet Hangouts. The Gauntlet is an online community dedicated to gaming indie games. We have a calendar for that. It's also combined with our podcasts. We have a Patreon that supports those things. And membership in that Patreon also at the base level gets you access to our monthly Codex magazine. And then we also have a set of forums that are open and public and have a lot of really interesting discussions there. So that is where that is at. So today we take up, we've got sort of the start of session things that we need to do as check-ins. We completed a contract. So my sense of how I want to do this is I'd like to kind of montage what surgery and healing looks like for our characters. Move forward to sort of speaking with your patron, trying to maneuver that to get at the materials of that Lost Explorer. And then we'll do the Hey Big Spender, which is the planet side role for making money and so on. And that is where we're going to go. The first thing I should check in is everybody cool with their hooks, or do they need to change any of those? Hearing none, I think we can move forward. So what I imagine has happened is in the wake of this, you loaded the Taylor back up onto the ship. You contacted your patron, and they would have made arrangements for medical treatment for you, essentially, because they would want to evac you quickly so they could get the Taylor to a safe harbor. So what is the thing we see of recusant in the medical thing when they go to fix your eye up? Is it salvageable? Is it not salvageable? What do you think?
And I know Sherry said that I didn't just lose an eye, I did gain an eye patch. Now I really want that eye patch. Uh, I think given who they were facing, I think what Asher's threat would have been legit, and they really would have wanted to have taken that eye. So I think they're and they wouldn't have just thrown that knife to graze. I think for sure that eye's gone.
Absolutely. And this is a hospital. It's certainly a private institution, but you have a representative from the Lady of Tears. Doctors tend to follow that icon. They've done the basic stuff. You can feel the kind of the numbness. They took that med stim pack off of your eye, and they've come back, and the doctor comes in and says, the knife that hit you was a mercurium knife. Am I correct?
Yes.
Those things are very dangerous. It was a chance blow, but it seems to have severed some of the key optic nerves in that eye.
That wasn't chance.
Well, there are ways to have new eyes regrown, but they are expensive. There are, of course, cybernetic implants that are less costly, but for the moment we have an eye patch that will be provided with you that will help. It has some implants that should help you adjust to the change in your vision.
I think Reason's probably like slumps in their bed. Just I'll take the eye patch, doctor. It's it's a form of penance, I guess.
That is a jet flying overhead. You may hear that through our mics because I'll tell you in a second why that is going on. Because yesterday Notre Dame played Navy, and so all weekend Navy jets have been flying over my city, and they're very loud. Thank you, sports fans. So they get you. They leave you for a moment to kind of sit there and adjust. Your other things have been patched up. What do you imagine like the more high tech stuff looks like? Is it patch? Is it more physical surgery? Is it more of a kind of a bot cleaning thing? What do you imagine? Is it gel?
Yeah, I think it's more for something a bit finer. It probably is like a bot just getting in there. Imagine like a small sort of like stitching drone, kind of like making sure the sutures are made well. I don't think they're just gonna slap a gel into it if it's like the finer sort of medical care.
Absolutely. So we cut to Kala. You took some nasty hits across the shoulder, right? Where did you get hit?
I got hit essentially standing between the tailor and the assassin. So
Oh,
I
that's
took
right.
a good hefty, I would guess, gut stab.
So they probably had to do some intrusive things to get in there to scan and checking out what has happened to make sure that there's no internal organ damage. They slow that bleeding down. They get to work, and probably by the time this is rolling around, the Suture Bot 5000 is just finishing up the last of the stitches, and the doctor has been remarkably quiet. Like, no questions about where you got these wounds, no questions about how this occurred. You can definitely see that these are doctors on retainer for a very powerful family, and you will get stitched up. And both you and Recusant can essentially take your harm cleared. That's how the mechanics work for this. You can clear all of that harm. And I think that we will cut to Nikos. Nikos, you are in, at this point, an estate. It's outside of the Icon City. It belongs to Chelebs Manau, the family there. The person who hired you, greeted you, made arrangements for the medical care and so on. And had you and the tailor kind of sit and wait, provide you with tea and things like that. And he didn't ask questions. Where new clothing had to be provided or so on, he's done that. And you have the sense that he is waiting for something.
Waiting for something from me or from somebody else?
Takes you a bit to kind of realize that he is clearly waiting for another person to arrive. And as you are there, you will see out, across these fair grounds, beautiful gardens, pools, things like that. Beautiful. Again, this planet known for its brilliant flowers. and they have gardens that are just radiant. The shuttle will set down, and you will see a group of people come out. Some more of these Janissary bodyguards like you saw before, and they are escorting an older woman in. And your patron looks... What is with these jets? Your patron looks both relieved in some ways, but nervous in others. And he will stand and say, Captain Nikos, will you excuse me for a moment?
Of course.
And I think it's in that gap where he goes out to clearly go and speak to this older woman, that Recusant and Kala will be brought in. Both of them looking a little haggard, a little worse for wear. Recusant, they look like they probably are more used to this kind of thing, but maybe the eye patch has taken them a little bit. How does Recusant's bearing to these kinds of wounds?
The shoulder, they kind of expected. The eye cut deeper, partially because of who did it and the fact that it happened. Well, of course, the fact that it did happen also.
Yeah. And Kala, have you ever been hurt this badly?
No, nothing like it. It sort of has, how should we say, recentered her sense of self, if that makes any reason or any sense. It's like that was close. It was, how should we say, it felt like that brush with mortality kind of sized up a lot of things and put them in perspective. Also, all the conversation with Recusant is sort of coming back to her now that she's back in the room with her, and she's starting to put a couple things together slowly.
That makes sense to me. Captain, how do you feel? Your crew got really banged up.
Yeah, I mean, I feel a little bit guilty. I should have been on the front lines with them. I definitely had it easier than I expected on this last mission.
There's probably some conversation back and forth, and then the doors will open, and the major domo that you interacted with before comes in. The one that the sky doll. He comes over, and you will see your patron come in, and following behind him are some more of the Janissaries and this older woman who you're pretty certain is the woman that was on that communicator during your last meeting. And she will come in. She's clearly older, maybe a little bit more frail. You have the sense of somebody who has sustained themselves through medical treatments, wealth, giving an advantage in that score. But you can definitely see that she's showing the signs of age. And she will come in, she looks and nods to the three of you, and then she's led over to the couch, and she settles in with a cane, and she will look to the three of you and nod, and then turn to the tailor and say, as our representative said, Taylor, you will be provided with protection and safety here. And then we will arrange for your passage to any place that you wish to go. And we will do so with the utmost discretion. We have an operation on my granddaughter that needs to be performed, and it will require someone of your level of talents. And the tailor will say, if the icons provide their mercies, I will do what I can. And she says, regardless of success or failure, we will carry through on our end of things. And she will turn to you, since you're the one that she spoke with, Kala, about this. She says, "Is that satisfactory to you?"
It is. And then you'll see she looks to Captain Jemison.
And I give her a little nod.
Well, then I will have my major domo and some of the guards escort you, Taylor, to the medical facilities that you can assay to see if they meet your needs, and tell us whatever else we need, and then we will get to that. And they will lead her out, and this woman will turn to you and will say, "I am Dramora Chelebs Manau. As you may have guessed, I am one of the matriarchs of the family, at least the one that has power at this point."
Yes, and I introduce myself and my crew.
Your work was performed admirably, in spite of obstacles we were not prepared for. We had, as I said, no idea that my granddaughter's secret confessor had tried to get the Taylor out of the way, and we had no idea that the Order of Pariah was in pursuit of the Taylor here. I hope that you will believe me when I say this.
Of course, ma'am. I am certain that you would have, not without any information that you had that would have been helpful to us. It was an unfortunate series of circumstances.
Well, I can't say we didn't withhold any information, but that is as it is. And as she's talking, you will see another shuttlecraft comes down. And she will say, "I have arranged payment for you. As we discussed, it is a lucrative payment. I can arrange for that to be delivered to you in beer or other transactional materials should you require it."
I was wondering if you could perhaps do us a favor as well. Assist us with certain historical research that we are interested in.
She pauses. Go on.
There was an expedition that vanished about 20 years ago. Fahid Chelebs Manau.
And certainly her brow furrows. Yes, go on.
Yes, I think it's possible that we may have found a lead to the whereabouts of the missing ship, and we were wondering if we could examine the effects of Vahid Chelebs Manau to see if there was anything in there which could give us more information.
Let's have you roll manipulate here.
That's a 12 plus whatever manipulate is.
That's slick. So I think that's a very high number. She will say, "You are not the first to come and ask about this lately. I turned down the previous questioner, but even before that, not more than a few months ago, someone attempted to breach our estate security and get to the vaults. So clearly what you ask for is something that is in contest. But it is something that I and my family have no need or want to be involved with. So I will have those materials securely transported up to here, to a place where you can examine them.
We are very grateful.
Shall we say that takes perhaps a point or two off of your payment?
Very, very well, although considering the injuries to my crew, I'm sure you will not deduct too much.
And you can see her do the calculations. Fair enough, fair enough. And she will say, then I will have that arranged. It should only take a couple of hours for those materials to be brought. Given what has happened, I want to make sure that there are multiple janissaries bringing it up in case this is something valuable to other parties, so that you can do that. But otherwise, I'll provide rooms for you to relax here, and you may stay as long on the estate as you need to recover or to conduct your investigation.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam. This is quite satisfactory.
She will say, I will have my major domo come again and see to your needs. And she does. The major domo, the person you met before, clearly the concierge, as it were, comes through and will provide you with rooms close by what is clearly a more like secure area. Like, this is a very well-to-do family, so they do have some like panic room kind of things, and they do transport like several it's effectively steamer trunk sized things up to that area for you to investigate. Anything that you want to do while you have a little bit of time between now and looking at this Kala?
Well, I think that what she wants to do is find her bearings again, if that makes any sense. So this
Absolutely.
has kind of thrown her off. So do you think that one of the things that she will do is this house is huge, and it has its own chapels and stuff in it.
Absolutely.
So I think that what she's going to do is she's going to go out and go down the corridors. If she stops, she doesn't. If she's stopped by someone, she doesn't fight it. She just goes back. But essentially what it is she's looking for the first chapel she can find.
Absolutely. Let's have you commune with the icons. Let's see how this goes. Given that it is a place with multiple chapels, you may either roll with weird or roll with advantage on the roll.
I think I'll take advantage. She doesn't have much weird. She just holds these things. So we'll see. So that's an 8.
So on an 8, you will get to name one of the icons. Tell me which icon and what is striking, because this is going to be a high-end chapel, a high-end place to pray. What makes it that way?
Okay. I think that in this luxurious and beautiful house in Mira, when she stumbles across a chapel that's to the deckhand, it is particularly strange because it is an ode to space travel in its own way. And it has sort of those technological marvels of the sort of warp engines and stuff like that rendered in beautiful materials artistically, and sort of the kind of handling of it, of it's not the thing, except that her eyes recognize that it's absolutely perfect with the theory, with the actual form of the engines in reality. Does that make any sense?
Exquisite craftsmanship.
Exactly. So I think, yeah, that's what she finds.
And recusant, how do you spend your time that you have to catch your breath here?
Oh, you know, you get that feeling when you really want to like unload everything you're feeling, but you really don't want to. Um, it's a tricky feeling to be caught in. So I think recusant is during this time is gonna try their best to probably just avoid having to be caught in a situation where they have to unload everything. So they're gonna do something they really haven't done in a while, which is commune as well.
Ooh.
The icons.
Then go ahead. You may roll with advantage or roll with weird, given your place.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna roll with advantage. Weird's not great, and which makes sense. They deliberately shied away from
From the
worship of any
darkness?
kind. Yeah, from the darkness. And well, what's the point? It just keeps coming back anyway. That's a 12.
That is a 12. So you get to name the icon or icons and hold 2.
I think the one that like Rikishin didn't just it kind of inadvertently feels themselves drawn to, given the kind of like crash course that they got before the mission. It's probably the dancer then.
Okay.
For sure, given all this hullabaloo about third arms and prophecies and whatnot, and they already got an earful from that tour guide.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. So you have a hold 2 for that. And Nikos, you have a little bit of chance here to kind of set up before you go to investigate. What is it you want to do?
Well, I think I'm going to want to work on my personal project, try to track down information about my brother, and I've got some money from this contract that I can pass around. I've got probably to get access from this very powerful family. There must be some servants who would be willing to do me a harmless favor that in no way conflicts with the family interests. And
Absolutely.
also I need to set up our next job, so I'm going to be getting on the board.
Okay. So let's just fiction-wise, we'll give you a tick on your personal project. And you can still increase that via the Habig spender and other means, but we'll give you that for that. And then you want to, let's see here.
Let's roll with volatile.
Okay. That's right. It's a personal move for you.
Yeah.
What did you get?
Got an 8. Take what you can get. Hold 1 lead.
Okay. And that's not bad. That's a pretty useful one there. I think we will hold on what that job is, and we'll roll it into some of the things that are on the table in a sec. How does that sound?
Sure.
Okay. but you won't have that much in the way of leads. We will move to the three of you coming to this secure area to have a chance to investigate. Kala, you will note that second shuttle that came, that there are some people from there. They're dressed differently from the Chelmsman now. They're clearly from a different family. And as they are moving along talking, you will see one of them kind of catches your eye, kind of looks and like does this sort of like, is that who I think that is kind of reaction. And you realize that you don't know exactly who he is, but you know that he's part of the Lascarid family.
Yikes. So in theory, she should just move on or something, but I think she does kind of make eye contact with him, and her brow furrows. She's not, what do I say? Like, she isn't subtle about it, but she goes like that.
And there's this moment where they go to maybe like maybe they're going to do something, maybe they do it, and then they clearly realize like they're not in a good position to do that. Like, this is not what they want to do, and they turn away and they fall back in to play polite with the Chelmsman. Like, they definitely have some other pull that is going on here.
Okay.
And the three of you will be brought to this place with this set of 3 steamer trunks full of old materials. Some of this is 20 years old. Some of it is older. It's clearly this mix of papers and personal items and effects and trashed data pads and all kinds of things here. And I'm going to give you some basics on what you'll find here. I think that's the best way to do it if we play it gumshoe wise. Then we can do some share expertise to sort of follow up. It's very clear from going through this that this Chelmsman person, the one whose body you found in the ship, had organized this expedition, had organized it to try and find out some secret about the gates. Not unlike what Captain Jemison, what Nikos has spoken about, clearly believed that there was a way to open some of these gates that had been locked, or maybe even gates that had been supposedly destroyed. And believed that these discs were the key to that. And recruited a team of people with expertise in this. Essentially, the people that you've heard the names of, Argamena, the woman who is with the Nomad Federation right now with one of those caravans. Pega Carden, the person who was a sort of an intelligence person, but is now working for the Foundation as a social arithmetician. And then the other one is Burdu Khan, who you haven't gotten any info on. What becomes clear is that this Chelmsman, what is his name here again?
Vahid.
Pardon? Vahid?
Vahid.
Vahid recruited these people, but didn't trust Burdu Khan. And what you will get is that they were heading out to do some investigations at the various jump sites, that each of the others had brought one of the discs. Was the other reason that they were brought along, is they had each gotten one of the discs. And that Vahid had 2 of them. But what you will find here is that apparently his worry about Burdu Khan meant that he actually, one of the discs you will find amongst the effects here, and he had taken what he thought was an adequate substitute, a duplicate that he had made. So this is effectively what you will find here is the 5th disc, giving you 2 of them in your hands at this point. And there's a lot of other stuff in here, general like logbooks and science stuff and things. A lot of it very fringy, very, very outside of classical given systems for engineering or physics or things like that. There's a certain amount of discussion and theorizing about the power of the mystics, the power of the psychics, and perhaps their interaction with all of these things. So with all of that info dump and 2 discs in hand, Kala, what's your question? You are muted.
I have expertise, or I'm an expert in physics, FTL, flight, and spatial anomalies, which I think is the best fit for these gate stuff. And
Absolutely.
things, right?
Yeah.
So essentially, I will do, what is the thing that you do? Share expertise as a move, or is that just a thing of if I make a move, I can do some additional things?
You do share expertise.
Okay, so that's with calculating?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think I have advantage. I just roll and add 3. So that 7 plus 3 is a 10.
Okay. So I'm going to give you as share expertise gives you a question. And then I'll give you a second question, essentially from having these objects here. So what's your first question?
Oh, I got it. Is it any question? Okay, so I think my first question is, because it seems like everyone else has survived this encounter. So I guess what I'm looking for is, wow. I'm sort of like,
here's the answer. They shouldn't have. Given what you've seen of the ship.
Yeah, they shouldn't have, right?
Given that they traveled out, unless it was another ship or some sort of malfeasance or something like that, given what you've seen, these people should be dead. So something clearly happened that they're not dead.
So I think that's the thing is that I will say that, and I will go through the thing to find, it's going to sound weird, but I know that when it comes to ships and stuff like that, that you follow the money. So I'm looking for how I can track, like how, because he would have been the money man. Whatever was
Absolutely.
going on, he was the money man. So even if it isn't in here, I may go ask the major domo for whether they would have kept the financial records leading up to this event.
the major domo says, these matters, the loss of a ship and a family member who had already been considered somewhat suspect, means that it's something that the family does not talk about. But it's financial records. We always keep financial records. That's the only proper thing to do.
Exactly.
So absolutely, you'd never destroy those.
And
Certainly, I can provide those to you.
yeah, and I'm essentially going to track back to where whether there was a second ship that was brought on with those funds, or essentially what gives me a sense of how they had gotten into this situation.
It does not look like there was a second ship. Like it's pretty clear they had one ship. It was well equipped, sensors, things like that. They had these crew people, and it was just them. Like they wanted to keep a lid on this.
Okay.
Right, but he didn't trust Bertocon. So
Correct.
Bertocon was working for a second party.
Quite possibly, yes.
He could have been the traitor.
But we know that that's what it is now. So, okay. So I've eliminated a set of, what do you say, mundane explanations.
Yes. Recusant, putting your skills and gifts things and looking at this pile of evidence here, what is it that you want to pick out from this?
First, I do want to ask some clarifying stuff, since I think I missed the session where
Sure.
most of this was set up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm not exactly sure what the crew are looking for.
Oh, okay.
This crew.
So they found this disc. It is one of 5 discs that they believe, when it's put together, will lead them, to some very cool gate stuff. The expedition that originally had these discs was from one of these kind of crazy uncle from the Chaleb's Manow family. And contrary to all rules of space travel, embedded a ship into a planet, which shouldn't happen. And in it, they found this disc. They also found a lot of darkness in there because it was clearly weirdly weird. And so the group has been looking to recover these other discs. They've got those 3 names, Argamena, Pega, and Berdukan, as the other 3 members of this crazy uncle's expedition that vanished 20 years ago.
Okay. I think, well, now that we have Vahid's personal materials on this expedition and more info on the other 3, I think Recusant will combine that with some of their contacts and some of their know-how. And I think the other 2 would notice that the Recusant's doing this in kind of like a very sort of, not half-hearted, but you gotta feel like they're being dutiful and reserved a bit more than they should have. But I think, yeah, they're gonna try and figure out the whereabouts of at least one of these 3.
Okay. Let's have you roll with calculating.
Cool. Let's see. All these 2. What is my calculating? My calculating is, that's a 7.
That is a 7. So the piece of information that the group has already is that Paga Carden, I think that you found out sort of what she was, generally what her background was. And let me get to that notes on exactly what you had. And that she's on Debaran. That's in the Debaran system. Argamena, you know that she's amongst the nomads, but the one that you don't have any details on is Berdukan, which is the one you kind of want to know about now, given that there seems to be some questions. You will discover that his family is a deep first comer family. So these are the old traditionalists, the families. The first comers are all the people who settled here, and then the Zenithians came and like 60 years ago and kind of had high tech and kind of imposed things in the wake of the big portal war. So the first comers are the sort of the people that kind of got pushed out. They still have a lot of power, but like here on Mira, for example, is very much a staunchly first comer planet. Burdukan belongs to a family called Amido, and they were a family that essentially in the portal wars, they had been massively powerful, but they were devastated by the portal wars. And in the wake of that, they were starting to rebuild when the colony ship, the Zenith, arrived and took power in a lot of places and pushed them out. And so the Amido family is one of those once was noble, got pushed down by the arrival of the Zenithians, and has never quite recovered. But you'll find that Burdukan, despite that, the name actually tracks. He is on a planet in the system with the Coriolis station. That's the station you guys were at a few sessions ago. Coriolis is that massive space station, is the HQ of the Zenithians. The planet below is the big headquarters of the Zenith. He is on a planet called Lubin, which is a couple of planets in towards the sun. It's an odd place. It's a very inhospitable place, except for some oasis centers in like the northern hemisphere. What exactly he's doing there is unclear, but you'll be able to track his name back to there. Does that seem like fair info?
Oh yeah, that's a lot of good info, and I think I'll relay that again in kind of like a very reserved, tired sort of voice.
Jaded.
Mm-hmm.
I also think, just to mention what is going on with Kyrie, I think that what we see going on with Kyrie is that Kyrie has burned himself out during the course of this mission, and kind of retires to his rooms. Probably has done this before. Nikos, you've probably seen this. Like, you know that Kyrie's going to be out of it for a while. Does that seem fair?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Captain Nikos, what is it that you want to figure out from this, or for something else?
I want to figure out who Burdukan's backers are.
Then let me have you go ahead and roll share expertise, I think. Unless you have some other move that would be more appropriate.
That makes sense, because I have this law enforcement background, so I'm sort of an expert in investigation. That's a 10.
That is a 10. Burdukan is, from what you can tell, like the last remnant of his family, and there's not much left to it. And he turned up in the Kua system on Luban about 20 years ago, clearly after what this expedition was, and has been there operating as kind of a fixer, merchant type there, weirdly isolating himself from factions, Zenithian or first comer or otherwise. You kind of check the usual channels to see, okay, is he involved with the syndicate? Is he involved with, any kind of larger stellar organizations and things like that? And that doesn't appear to be the case. It seems more like someone who has kind of been, decided to retire to the easy life. If he's involved with anything, it's going to be purely local. And in terms of like checking his funds and things like that, he doesn't have much. Does that seem fair?
Yeah. So it looks like he doesn't have powerful backers outside his own family.
Yeah, well, his own family, there's not much left of it now.
Right.
He's essentially running out the last of the cred that they have there.
Right. But he's not working with some more powerful family.
Yeah, there's no signs to indicate that.
Right. Okay.
You are not the first person to ask about Burdu Khan. Like clearly, there have been some blips and some searches for him over the last couple of months. The little traceries that when you contact your data gen friend who kind of runs the systems and things will tell you, yeah, it looks like there's some other queries, anonymous, but someone else has been looking for him.
Okay.
Let's come back to the group of you during one of these dinner breaks. These breaks, in the midst of investigation, the major domo comes in. You've pretty much been left on your own throughout this, so you can, and he comes in and he settles himself down and says, "I trust the food and the facilities are to your liking."
Yes, your hospitality has been very generous.
I am not one to pry. That is not my way. I tend to keep the household in check and in balance, as it were. Miss Kala, Miss Ba, is there a reason why some of our other guests might know your name and be asking after you? I have, in the interest of discretion, said nothing.
And she goes, my first engagement out of school was working on the design of an experimental vessel for the Lascarids. I left to the process because, and then she sort of stops and goes, I had a break coming. I went to go on it, but I also left right after speaking with people that the design had a certain element of heresy to it. That I had that as a concern. I left the vehicle, and she stops and goes, the vessel disappeared. I don't know where it went. But they say I did it.
I will not mention your name to them, and I will undertake that the family members who are here are kept in another part of the household during your time. And you would know it's a little unusual for the Lestarids, who are a Zenithian family, like a strongly, staunchly Zenithian family, to be here in the household of the Chelobs Manau. Like, clearly he's being discreet also because this is the Lascarids being here is not something he would like to have revealed either.
Okay.
And Kala, did you mention to me that the Lascarids were here? This is the first time I'm hearing of this?
And she stops and she goes, No, it didn't occur to me.
Yes, it would probably be a good idea for us to depart relatively quickly.
I can arrange that. Would you like me to make arrangements for another hostel or place to stay here on planet? Or have you finished your investigations?
I believe we've finished our investigations in this system, yes.
Well, I will give you my personal comm frequency, such that if you return to the system and you need to make inquiries, you can contact me. And I will make arrangements that that you can leave discreetly tonight. And of course, payment will be made to your funds as agreed upon, with no change in the numbers.
Thank you. You have been very helpful.
What should I do with the rest of Vahid's materials?
That's right. Well, we're certainly taking the disc with us, and I mean, I think we're going to remove any materials that would be particularly helpful to anybody investigating the disappearance, and we say you can put the rest of the materials back where they were, and if anybody inquires after them, it would be good not to be too eager to show them the materials, but if after a great show of reluctance you should do so, it would do no harm.
It is a matter that seems the simplest of things. And I will trust, of course, that you will not mention the affairs of the Chelab Manau, either the Taylor's involvement or other matters, and we will consider ourselves good friends.
Yes. Our professional discretion will be maintained, as, of course, your discretion will be maintained.
This matter has been a joy from start to finish, and I will have those arrangements made. And he will depart. And essentially, he's made arrangements that there's a big party to be done on the other part of the estate that requires their attention, and essentially gives you a couple of hour window to get back to your ship and get out of here without being spotted.
Sounds good.
And you can take off. Let's take our break, and then when we come back, we'll do the Hey Big Spender, and we'll get that fractal move resolved. All right.
Potentially fractal.
Potentially fractal. Stephen, are you going to go to Worldcon in New Zealand next year?
No, I'm not. Although it looks like I'm going to go to NASFIC,
Oh,
which is in Columbus,
okay.
because it's the 30th anniversary of my clearing class, and some people are organizing a reunion there.
Oh, that's nice. My sister loved her clearing experience. All right. So we go to the ship, and there are two ship-specific moves that happen when we kind of check in. One is that we put another count on the maintenance track, which I have done, and we put another track on the feud, which is a burn on the feud fuse. And the ship payment contract complete, when your crew successfully completes a contract and collects their pay, roll with the contract rating. And I think we established that this was a +3. I tried to get it down to a +2. I was not successful there. So Captain, would you please roll with a +3?
8.
8. So you get the standard deal. Choose 2.
All right, let's go with lucrative exports and hey big spender.
Okay.
So we get to make more rolls.
Yes. So lucrative exports, we note that in the cargo type, right? But yeah, let's do the hey big spender.
Right. Well, lucrative exports is also a roll.
Oh, is that also a roll? What the what? Okay, let's have you roll lucrative exports.
Okay, roll with disposition with the local vendors and contacts.
Which is still a straight 0 right now.
Oh, and we got a 6. So then pickings, some cheap cargo, basically religious icons.
Absolutely. The basic trade stuff, the easy thing to get here before anything goes wrong. That makes sense. Recusant, let's have you roll hey big spender.
Ooh, all right. So it's still with a 0, right?
That is still with a 0 for the disposition.
Cool. All right, that's a 7.
That is a 7. So on a 7, you get to choose 2 from the hey big spender results.
Can I choose one thing multiple times?
Yes.
Cool. I'm gonna put both of them into my personal project.
Okay.
Which is the forming a new identity. I have to update it now to reflect the missing I. And also, I'm suddenly really interested in setting up a new identity.
How close does that get you to finishing that off? Does that finish it off?
I got one more tick.
Okay.
That I need.
Besides the missing I, what's the other detail about this new identity that you're setting up?
The thing, I think the main detail is like their background, which is like just terribly mundane. I'm trying to set it up, this identity, to be as far away from all of this as possible. I think the jadedness is I think recusant is feel like this sort of tiredness doesn't seem to be going away anytime soon, and they're suddenly just the idea of stepping back is suddenly really fulfilled to them. And also, I'm not here after next session, so
That's right. So you get an identity as like a moisture farmer on an obscure desert planet somewhere.
Oh yeah. Nothing ever happens in desert planets. God no.
The other thing I should say to you, by the way, if you hear me sniffling, I have a cold, and I apologize for that. I'm trying not to sniffle, but it's reflexive. I apologize to everyone at home. or at your houses. All right, so yeah, you get the work done on that. Kala, let's have you roll Hey Big Spender.
You remind me where that move sits.
It is in the commerce moves, which is in the third column of special and commerce. It is the second move down.
Oh, there it is. Huge. Okay. So, and if we're just rolling straight?
Yep.
All right. I got a 7.
Got a 7. So you've got plenty of time. You get to choose 2.
Okay. Let's see here. Ooh. I think I guess I'll start another personal project.
Okay.
And then let's see here. And you have the advanced gear stuff is somewhere. Right?
Yes. If you go into the folder online, it has the gear there.
Okay. I will not bore you while I go through that.
And let's see, what's the other thing? The ship one. Let me look at the ship moves. Viewed. Okay, we got the ship payment is done. Maintenance, we've got the burn in this maintenance thing. And the ship payment move, which we did. Okay.
I've also got the Hey Big Spender move to do.
Let's have you do that.
That's a 9.
Okay. So again, choose 2.
All right, I'll finish off my personal project. And let's see, I think you established earlier that I would need to do an unsavory favor at some point to complete the personal project.
Yes. Is it close to being finished?
Oh, yeah. It's got 2 slots. So I'll do both of those.
Okay.
Or no, wait, no, just had 1 slot left. Yes.
Okay. So you can fill that, and what do you want for your other pick?
I'll take some equipment. I'll get a security scanner.
Okay, that seems good.
Security tablet.
All right. So the ship still has some superficial damage to it. We didn't clear the maintenance or the fuse or the fuse fuse, so those are still up there. So that is on the table. You are looking for info about your brother, right?
Yeah, the name of the research project that took him.
What do you think would count as an unsavory favor for the captain?
Right. Well, I probably have to get in touch with some of my local contacts and promise them something. So it might be some sort of courier job to the Coriolis system.
And I think that you will end up talking to somebody that you know that will say, we have something that needs to be delivered to Coriolis, Captain.
Do I want to know what it is?
No, you do not.
Fair enough.
This will cover the information that we will hand off to you.
Read.
Upon delivery, I will send you the key code to decrypt the information.
A pleasure doing business with you.
I wish I could say the same. And they will hand you a highly secured like hermetically sealed box with the kind of the classic tamper with it, break the seal kind of thing. It's going to be bad. It's, you know, like about that big by that big. It's like half a shoebox size.
Yeah, I'm sure it's completely legal.
Absolutely. And I assume that you put it in whatever smuggler's compartments you have on the ship then?
Right.
Okay, fair enough. So the contracts aren't great here because a lot of the contracts are for pilgrimage things locally, other kinds of big, you know, heavy transport and stuff. But eventually, Captain, you will find a contract that kind of aligns at least a little bit with some interests that the group has. There is a contract actually from the Caravan space group that's currently in orbit, the sort of circus entertainer group that is up there. And they are looking for someone to assist them with some transportation.
To the Coriolis system?
That does seem to be not the place that they are taking them to.
All right.
But you could certainly meet with them and talk if you wanted.
Sure.
I assume you take your crew with you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we'll leave Kyrie in his bunk. He's not.
He's probably not the best for doing these kinds of delicate negotiations. But in any case, you will get a chance to meet up. Essentially, this will be up in orbit. As you flew in, you had seen this group of sort of traveling ships. You assumed were part of the Nomad Federation, things like that. Definitely have that look of ships that have been repaired and re-repaired, and you know, a mix of civilian and one or two, you know, fighting ships. The information that you had gotten beforehand was that they were here because some of the people were on pilgrimages and things. And you will be invited to come up and speak with one of the representatives from that group to talk with you about the job. And when you dock and come on board, it is a lived-in, very, very lived-in big ship. And it is the smell of people who've lived here for a long time. It's the smell of animals, you know, all the things that kind of recycling the ship systems can't quite take care of. And a lot of very homemade ship sections and things like that. What you will realize is this is actually a circus ship, and it is a traveling circus here. And when you arrive, a couple of the people there will call over this heavy-set older woman who comes, you know, jostling over, colorful clothes. Everyone here is in bright colors, even if they're a little bit dulled with age, even if they're patched in places. Everyone here is there, and she will say, "Zayek, Captain Nikos, is it right?"
That is correct. I am Captain Nikos. This is Calabar and the recusant.
You are well met and welcome here. We are in the midst of patches and repairs and getting some of our people back from planet. So there is there's some chaos, and I apologize for that. My name is Parnatima. I am the ringleader for or ringmaster. These are ways they're said here for the Mamara's flying circus. Please, we'll come up to my offices. I'll walk you through. And it is there are very few sort of elevators or lifts or things like that. Those seem to be, those mechanics have been repurposed. So it's a multi-flight walk up to a set of offices here. What is your reaction to being on a circus ship, Kala? Muted.
She's kind of, she kind of thinks it's fabulous. I think her eyes are very wide, and she's looking because people who do performances and things like that, they're so different than the people that she usually deals with, and it's sort of exciting. She's very like eyes open. Also, the ship, she's like, wow, they still got this thing running. So,
yeah, there is a vibration in the floor that you do not like.
Oh, I might say something.
We'll come to that.
Okay.
Recusant, tell me about a job that you did that involved one of these traveling entertainment groups, either like this or more Cirque du Soleil or something else.
Yeah, there was a job that involved having to hide inside a facsimile of a creature that not one of the more glamorous jobs they did, but it did kind of involve a ship like this. I think it's running the same sort of chain, and I think the thing Recusant does is kind of like flashback to like those preparations that they did, which involved a lot of casing the joint, a lot of like just walking into a place and seeing like, okay, who are the ones that they could easily take out, where are the like nearest exits and whatnot. But I think they do this a lot when they wander these sort in most places. But I think this is kind of like, I think Recusant catches herself doing this. Catches themselves doing this, and this is like the first time in a while.
That paranoia kind of eating at you. Captain Jemison, what was your experience with these kinds of things in your youth?
I mean, I absolutely loved the circus. I mean, my brother and I, we went there all the time when we were kids. It's some of our fondest memories.
Yeah, they travel around from place to place. They do these circuits. There are legendary ones. Marmara's here is one of the older ones, kind of spoken of, maybe a little bit down on its luck in recent years. Hasn't maybe kept up with the times, but still well regarded. And
oh my God, I see that there's this clown. He's a lot older now, but I remember him.
Oh yeah, they have this. They have the set makeup. Some of them probably have the tattoos to make it easier to do. And when you kind of look at him with even a vague sense of wonder, he goes into his pattern, his little dance for you, the sort of classic thing, and then shuffles off.
Oh, I remember. I mean, I'm doing the dance with him. I remember this.
Yes. Tibian, very popular amongst the children. He has been with us since almost the beginning. What planet were you raised on, Captain?
That is a good question, and I don't think. I need the name of a good planet.
Oh, let's see here. Let me grab my list here. How about Mehran?
Mehran.
Mehran. Good location. Clear weather often. Have to be out of there in storm season. But a decent place. Always well treated there. A nice place. It's a good place to grow up.
Yes. Oh, we were always so excited when the circus came into system.
I'm always glad to hear that. But please come and sit. And very informal, like low table, kind of couches facing one another there, sits down. There's some foodstuffs and things, set out on the table. And Parnaftima sits and she says, I have a small job. It's one I almost always have when we come to here to the planet of the icons, and where people go on pilgrimage. So as you may know, we're loosely associated with the Nomad Federation, with the space caravans and so on. We often work alongside them, travel alongside, mutual protection, that kind of thing. And what often happens each cycle is that a few of the young ones from the Nomad Federation will run away to join the circus. And then there comes a point at which it's usually once we come to a chance to have a break between shows, a pilgrimage, as we've done here. We have a number of young ones who need to go back to their family. They have decided that this is not the life for them. They've realized how much work it is. And so we have to, we don't have to, but we do transport them back with whatever spare money we have to do such a job. So we have some heading off in a couple of directions. I don't know which way you're headed, Captain.
We were headed towards the Coriolis system.
Aye. Okay. There are quite a few that at the very least we can get to Coriolis, and they can find another transport from there. So we can do that. Yeah, absolutely. Perhaps 8 or 9, and they can pull their weight if you have tasks on board.
And I start negotiating payment.
Okay. Yeah, and we actually have a move for that. Of course we do. That is
negotiate terms.
Yes.
Roll with disposition, or no, stick at disadvantage if I don't know the client. Do I know the client?
I think you already established that you do. Like I think I'm going to say with your fiction that you know the circus, you probably have a favorable thing. So so let's have you roll. I think let's give you a +1. You've all demonstrated that you appreciate the circus here, and so she seems more ready. Let's have you roll.
Even with a +1, that's a 6.
Captain, we have very little money to move these teens along. I wish I could offer more, but this is the budget that I have for it. I hate to say that, but times are lean these days. With the closing of Zelos, that system, and other places shutting outside travel, it's meant that our jumps are more costly than ever.
Well, this is a worthy thing you're doing for these children. Ordinarily, we would not take such a small payment, but we wish to help these children get home. So we accept the contract. We accept the contract that he has.
Excellent. Let us drink a little to that, and she will send for some brandy to be drunk to share, and she will say, so how did you find your time on the Icon planet on Mira?
It was very inspirational.
Are you a devout? And I will say I am not. I've been on the pilgrimage. It is one of the pillars, but I look to the dancer from time to time, since she oversees us as well as the traveler.
I am not the most devout, but Kalabal here is a very, very spiritual person.
She turns to you, Kala. How did you find it?
Oh, well, the Golden Harvest pilgrimage, the ones that you stop on, they were lovely.
That is a pricey pilgrimage.
She stops and says, "We had a sponsor."
Oh, well, then you are very lucky. Not if you get to travel in such luxury and style.
Yes. And she sort of smiles.
Most have to walk.
Oh, I did some of that too. But she stops and she goes, "But I'll always remember the scent of all the flowers. It is a lovely layer to add to my sense of the icons."
And you recusant, was it?
Yes.
Am I to judge from your name that perhaps you are not so devout?
Well, less devout and more devoted to a kind of theatrics.
Really? Are you a performer?
Of a sort, although what I'm skilled at is well, it is a kind of performance that usually is not, it is for a certain kind of audience.
Well, that either sounds ominous or pornographic. I'm not sure which.
I'll leave it to you to make up your mind. I will say the planet sure is interesting. It certainly leaves a mark on you. And they'll angle their face to prominently show the eye patch.
She says, "Ominous it is. Please." And she passes the brandy around. And she will chat with you about matters and affairs and things like that.
So they have associations with the Starfarers, right?
Yes, the Nomad Federation of Starfarers.
Yeah, and I think in the thing that at some point she'll ask if they know Argamina, a person named Argamina.
Yes.
She goes, "Is someone who has popped up in some of the things that we were researching for a different person, and I just wondered." They said she was one of the Starfarers.
She, as I understand it, is not native to the nomads, but came to them. She's a seer, an oracle, a mystic. As you know, the nomads, unlike others, tend to be generous with their treatment of the mystics. Amongst the first comers, they are more liberal in those things. Not as liberal as I hear on Coriolis these days, but more liberal. But yes, she is a seer. She's with the Kyber swarm. They are even now. They are gathering at Ahwadi, the Ahwadi system, for their gathering that they do every several cycles.
And then I said, "Well, are there any of the teens that are going to the Wade system?"
There are a few, yes.
And I'll sort of turn to the captain.
Yeah, so where is the Hawaii system relative to Coriolis? Like how far?
So let me pull up pull up my star map here. So right, if you imagine that there's a circle that kind of goes up and around, sort of the hook at the top of the thing, you are in Mira, like at this thing, and Kua is here. Like if we do that around, like a bass clef, I think. Ahwadi is a couple jumps over from that. It's actually, if you go to Kua, you could either break off a little bit and go to Ahwadi and then go to Kua, or you could go to Kua and then a couple jumps to Ahwadi. So it's actually fairly close.
Okay. So can we get to Hua and then Hawaii before this swarm breaks up? That's
She says, yes, they will be there for some time. There are ceremonies and rituals that they are undertaking. It is an annual thing. I would expect that they would be there for at least another 40 to 60 days, depending on how the solar streams are.
okay. So that's well. Okay, so our plan is still go to Coriolis first because I want to pass off my package. I don't want that. I don't want that on the ship any longer than possible. So, but yeah. So I just it is not entirely certain, but I believe we can continue on to that system and bring those travelers the full distance to their homes.
I don't have much more money to spend for that extra. I could cover one of those jumps for you, but beyond that,
that is perfectly acceptable.
If you are looking for Argamina, know that she has a position of importance amongst the Kyber swarm. Her visions have proven true more than once, with some detail to them.
Oh yes, we have no intention of doing anything that would upset the swarm.
Oh no, I just want to tell you what her position is relative there. She is still an outsider, not born of the Federation, but her strangeness gives her pull amongst the families there. And she says, well, we're a few more days on repairs, but I will gather the youngsters together and make them ready for when you take off. We will pack food and provisions for them for the journey. You have the essentially the mechanics for gassing them for the jumps.
Yeah.
Okay. They're used to it now. We use the cheapest of sedatives, so they should be used to the dry mouth and the nausea afterwards. You grow used to it after a few decades. Well then, Captain, do you want to remain here until I can pull them together, or should I have them sent down by shuttle, or what would you prefer?
Oh well, if it's not an imposition, I would love to just wander around and see your rehearsals, see how the circus is run. We won't get in anyone's way, I promise.
Excellent. You have it should take me a day to get a couple more from the surface and have them say their goodbyes and so on. But yes, I will have guest rooms prepared for you if you wish to stay, and you have the run of the ship. show me your data pads, and I'll give you a passcode." And she'll do the classic thing where she gives you essentially a little UPC kind of thing that you can scan.
It's like a vacation.
Yes. She says food is served on the hour because people's schedules are varied and strange in the mess hall. So if you need to eat or so on, head down there. And she will clap her hands and thank you, call for the blessings, the icons upon you. Captain Nikos, what do you do in your downtime here?
I'm doing exactly what I've said. I'm watching them practice.
And they are skilled. Besides that clown, what else stays with you from your youth that you go and watch?
Oh, the high wire acrobats. It's actually not a high wire. It's like this web, and like they do jumps from one thin strand to another. It's like there's a team of 5 that they're doing jumps and catches, and it's just amazing, an amazing display of skill.
And you wanted an amazing, through here. You are a handsome a gentleman, so you certainly get some looks from the ladies and the gents, and maybe some looks from the jealous ladies and gents, because you cut a dashing appearance through here. And someone will eventually come over and say, do you wish to learn the most basic? We could show you.
Oh, absolutely.
And they will clearly as a thing of amusement, but also to kind of try this out. They will take you up and show you how to do the basics, like to go from the main wire to another main wire. Do you think you're good at it? You've got a pretty good slick. You got a pretty good calculating.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm good at it, but I'm sort of overconfident, and I do try some stunts that I'm not really ready for.
And you're trying to adjust. You've got pretty hefty zero G training, and some of that kind of kicks in, which is maybe not the best thing. And one of these acrobat ladies who's kind of been watching off to the side, quietly does that swing in to catch you around the midsection and then kind of spin and lower you down before you can hit the floor. And she will say, "Very good, but maybe a little bit above your pay grade."
And I will thank her and give her a kiss in gratitude.
And now that you've kind of proven yourself, the others will kind of call you over. They have drinks there. They come gesture for you to come and sit, have a drink with them, share stories, that kind of thing. You've made an impression. They accept you there. Caleb, what do you do?
I think for a little while I watch the captain, and I watch all the people gather around the captain, because that's what always happens. And I get that usual sort of isolation of that's not, I don't know what to do in those situations. So I think I just start following the walls down because I know from the vibration, I can pretty much figure out where the engine room is. And I start heading down there because that's where I know.
You will get down to this engine room. It's one of those, it's an old ship, so the engine room is overly large. The new ones are much smaller. There are lots of catwalks and dangerous places to fall and things like that. Lots of hammocks stretched over places. A lot of the engineers clearly live down here, and the banging and the weird vibration that you felt the whole time is even more down here. And there's teams of people that are working, with torches and old equipment and hammers to get things set, and there's shouts down, about the plasma flow, not being right, and they're trying to get everything set and arranged. And somebody will say, okay, I want you to reverse the fluctuating anomaly field. Can you do that? No, not that. Reverse the other reverse. And lots of no comms. It's all shouting back and forth. And when you come in, one of these people, and it's hot in here, it's hot as hell in here, kind of looks at you and says, I think you made a wrong turn.
And I say, I'm pretty sure I did not. Looks like you guys could use a hand.
They kind of straightens himself up in that kind of, this is my engine room kind of way. Go, whoa. Yeah. Like what could someone is, doesn't want to say soft, someone as educated as you, what?
And she goes, oh, look at this. This is a classic engine. And she sort of walks around, it getting the feel of it. And she turns to him and says, what you've got right now is just a sort of classic wear. It's your ceramic lining that's causing all of these problems. Essentially, if we can get a drip going and go around the edge in a pattern, we'll have to pick the pattern. And she sort of stops and she kind of backs up and goes, you have the ceramic coating, don't you?
We've got some, yes.
Okay, well, she kind of goes, let's map this out. And she'll go, what we're going to do is, and she'll get her scanner up there and she'll set like a set of sensors going. She'll put all three of them out there so they triangulate, and she will like set it going so that there's a wave that goes. And she goes, look, these are going to be the places where we have to start the drip, and then we'll revolve on the speed. And she goes, well, just keep these up here.
And there's that thing where, and you recognize this from your time working on the engines, there's the older people who are like, and they roll their eyes and then make sounds as they go through, like, this will never work. But the younger ones, the ones who've been working here, kind of come over because this isn't like anything they've seen before. They will sit and they'll ask, questions about, well, this, if you do this, won't this sublimate over here?
It would, except that at the same time, and she'll explain how it's sublimating here and here. So you keep all of that balanced. It's moving.
Oh.
You've got a certain amount of time to get this done in. So we've just got to make sure that we've got everything measured, set to go first. The hard part's going to be the prep.
How long has it been since you've had a chance to get arms deep into a set of machinery like this?
It has been actually since probably my second year in university, because you never did at university, but there were people who had ships that you got to work on sort of in the shop class. And that was the last time. Those are the glory days. So and
much like the captain, are you an expert? Do you overstep yourself at all, or do you push yourself to exhaustion? What do we see here? Because you're going to be here for several hours.
Yeah, I think I spouted enough technobabble that I'm in good shape, that I have advantage at least to help them do the repairs.
Oh yeah.
So I think, have I overstepped myself? I don't think so. Or I would say I try to do all the tests to make sure that I have it.
Let's have
and
you
it's
share
an exercise to convince them. Yeah,
let's have you share expertise with advantage. You're going to do it, but I want to see what kind of impression, what kind of demeanor you can generate here.
All righty. Let's see here. So that's 10.
That is a 10. So they are impressed. As you're working, some of the older people kind of come over. They don't say anything, but they put like a big glass of cold tea with raspberry in it. They put that down by you, and when you look around, there's a napkin or cloth there to wipe your brow, and food is provided, and after a while the mutterings stop, and everybody kind of falls in with what you're doing, and eventually you get it, so that vibration that has been bugging you since you stepped on that ship finally goes away.
Yes. That's it. When it does, she goes,
Okay. Recusant, what do you do? Do you stay here on this? Do you go back to your ship? Do you look around? What is your reaction to this kind of environment?
Yeah, I think that impulse of casing this place doesn't leave them, but but they're now really conscious of it, and they're also conscious now of that, of knowing they always do this, and I think it leaves them quite a bit disquieted and a little bit distraught. I think they kind of realize, kind of wanted this place, like oh, Nikos is like a child again. It's actually weird seeing him happy like that. Of course, Calabas finds something scientific and interesting to keep her busy, and the only thing they know, the recusant knows how to do, is like, how do I extract the most out of this place? So I think ah, um, I think they will quietly slip out. I don't think they want to stay
Okay.
around there. They'd rather they'd rather avoid talking to Kyrie at the ship than at the circus.
Okay. So you go back onto your own ship then, or move
Yeah.
around here, kind of at the margins.
I think what me player wants to do is like probably talk to either Nikos or Kalaba. One of them is gonna be a confrontation, and the other one's gonna be a get closer. And I just want to know. I'm just trying to figure out what
Who would you rather talk to? I mean, Kala is working there in the engineering. Nikos is sharing stories in that very personable way.
Probably with Kala, because I I don't think Recusant wants to get caught into having to share stories, and I think and Nikos would be the one they'd want to confront for various reasons. And look,
So
Nikos is having a fun time, and I don't want to ruin that.
so Kala, at one of those break points where you've done as much as you can and you need to kind of go and sit and catch your breath, uh, Recusant is just there.
yeah, and they startle me, and I do a kind of like hands up kind of thing because I just got stabbed not too long ago, and then
Sorry.
hey, did you come down to lend a hand?
Uh, yeah, sure. If you'd let me, I've suddenly found myself with nothing to do.
Okay. And then she goes, well, we just finished here, but we got to take down all these scaffolds and stuff right over there. So
Okay.
that's it. Just hard labor for a little while.
Don't worry, I'll still follow your instruction if that's what you're worried.
She goes, I didn't know. And she kind of goes, why did you say you were a technician?
I didn't. I just, well, I'm not sure. Wait, actually, character, remind me. What did I say I was technician again? It was
It was on the ship. You sort of
Oh,
like
yes.
pretended like you were a tech.
Oh yeah. I said. Oh yeah, I remember that now. It's like, well, okay, I didn't technically say I was technician. It was more that I wanted to see for myself how you're doing. I just needed to be at ease, and I wasn't. And, well, I didn't trust your opinion at the time.
So, what are you going to do?
Well,
I mean, they kind of know that you are with us.
yeah,
I'm kind of worried for you.
I would have thought you'd be more worried for yourselves.
No, we're irrelevant.
I don't think you're that irrelevant. Look, whatever the case, their beef is with me. It's. I've always known that, and well, part of me hopes that this is enough for penance, but not with them. No, they'll demand something else, and frankly, there's a part of me that wants to just give it to them.
What?
Do you know the feeling one of our lot would have felt having been denied their kill, their assassination?
No.
Imagine, okay, imagine all your icons looking down on you. You can feel their gaze, all of them. They can feel your gaze. Their gaze just penetrating to your soul and seeing every black wrong thing you might have done against them.
Uh-huh.
It's kind of like that. And even though I've left them, I know what that's like, and I know what I just caused them, and that's something that needs to be repaid.
Oh, I see. Because she failed, it's going to be bad for her. But because she failed, you're still alive.
Well, me and the tailor. And
Mm-hmm.
that was her target. It'll be bad for her, and it'll be bad for me. It was already bad for me, but it'll be even worse.
So what can we do?
I'm not. Honestly, I'm not sure.
How about a disguise?
I've kind of been working on that, I guess, but it would mean having to leave.
What? Okay.
Well, they already know I'm with you.
Right.
I think they would probably notice if whatever this identity I'm working on kept around with the ship. And honestly, Kala, I wouldn't want to bring that kind of heat to yourself and to Kyrie. Nikos, I can leave or take.
Captain Nikos is very genuine in his enthusiasms and
I know,
takes
I
good
know.
care of his ship.
He takes good care of the ship. It's just that his enthusiasms are starting to cost others, And they gesture at their eye.
Mm. So what can I do to help?
I want. This is gonna sound silly, but I, when I left, I forgot what it's like to put my faith in something bigger than me, and I want to try and remember that. And I thought you could help.
Okay. Do you want me to pray for you?
Could you pray with me?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Lower, you're muted.
That seems a good place to cut that scene. Captain Jemison, as they've got the young people together, getting ready. Parnaftima comes down to where you're at. Maybe an hour or so before you pretty sure you're going to be launching off, and she'll say, "A word, Captain."
Certainly.
Walk with me.
Yeah, and I walk, and I'm kind of limping a bit because I have been doing some of these stunts,
and she has the gait that you know of a spacefarer, someone who's lived on a ship, who's had to deal with sometimes the gravity going out or having to turn those systems off. She walks with a certain kind of caution and balance, and she will say, a Lascarid family corporation scout ship popped up and has been sitting off the bow for the last few hours, trying to make itself quiet. It's just they have holding approval. I mean, it's a standard berth for them to hang in orbit where they are, but most of them won't come near our ships generally because there tends to be more debris than their systems can handle. But this one's been sitting there for a few hours.
I think it would be a very good idea if we left as quickly as possible. The Lascarid do not like me.
Well, we have to vent some material. I'll be venting that off the bow in about 55 minutes.
Oh, thank you, Captain. Yes. It's very regrettable that could obscure ship scanners at such a critical moment of our departure. But
absolutely.
Maintenance is obviously a priority.
We always have to clear what gets stuck in the filters. Has to get sent out what we can't reclaim, and it's got to go somewhere.
Yes. Thank you, Captain.
No, thank you. And she sends with you about a dozen of these. They're all teenagers, and they're all, they've all been crying, like they've made friends, but they've realized they have to go home because they're homesick, and that this life is too much. A couple of them have broken arms from the work and stuff, and they're all kind of heads are down a little bit low as they board your ship, and you will hear, that's right, I'm just a glorified space bus, just carrying people from point A to point B, children, refugees, that's all. Please, no, orderly line, move to the back of the ship. There you go. Yeah.
And the computer's really very nice once you get to know them. Their voice.
You keep telling yourself that, Captain. And they will file back to the area. And again, this is the same place that you had that you're transporting those people before. You've got the sedation stations there, and so on. And you will get ready to launch off. And as you kind of get the engines warmed up, you will see the side of this massive vessel, like the vents open up, and it's like a projectile vomiting of refuse and material shoots off. Some of it liquid, so it immediately freezes once it hits the cold of space, and it forms this putrid cloud of space debris in front of this sleek Lascarid scout ship that is trying to maintain a quiet, steady position. And you'll see it like hits against it. And you can see the ice and stuff because the ship is sort of warm. The ice will hit it and will immediately kind of splatter across its pristine white surface. And you can kick system if you want, Captain.
Yeah.
Let's have you make one move. I think this is probably act quick with advantage because they assisted you.
That is a 10.
That is a 10. And yeah, tell me what that looks like.
Right. Yeah. I mean, as this cloud of stuff jets out, it's like we send out this jamming signal at the same time, just like this burst of electronic static, just completely to just overwhelm their sensors for an instant. Just as we hit the hyperdrive to leave the system.
Oh yeah, you kick it to the grav well to the launcher, but between that and you already have your stealth systems, you are gone before they have any idea. They don't know whether you drop back to orbit. They don't know if you head to another planet in the system. They don't know if you headed towards the gate, and they have no way to judge that and no orders beyond kind of keeping an eye on you. And you will very quickly see them sort of fall back into a standard orbital position to clearly communicate. And very quickly you are at the gate, getting into the queue and getting ready to make those jumps to get back to the Kua system. There is a role for that. And that role is hyperdrive. When you power up your hyperdrive to jump to a remote or closer star system, roll with weird.
I'm trying to remember who we've already had do this role. I think I did it once.
I think you did once. So one of the others, either Recusant or Kala, should make this role. Who wants to take Recusant? Tomorrow, next time's your last session, so let's have you make it this time.
Okay. Sure. I mean, I have a stacked weird of a -1. So, I mean, there are some fun consequences to this hyperdrive move.
Oh, yeah.
Which we're going to get because I rolled a 5.
Okay. So I think number one, we will put another tick on that maintenance clock.
Oh, boy. Oh, that's really close.
And then I think we're going to ask each crew member a question from the dark stairs back. Let's start with you. This is a good question. Who do you crave forgiveness from at this moment, given what has happened?
God.
Is it a crewmate? Is it someone out there in the wider system? What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think probably not the crewmates at the moment. I feel like I made some sort of peace with Kalaba. I think seeing Nikos in their more childlike state has kind of lessened my disdain for them. Sorry, I'll explain why I have disdain for Nikos at some point, but not so much. Kyrie, I just pity. He's just sad. So yeah, I think it'll be person who took my eye. Asher is her name. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think let me see the question again. Crave forgiveness. Well, one, I denied them their kill, and I know exactly how that feels. And
You
to
know
do,
all the punishments that they are going to suffer for this.
yeah, yeah, and I knew I went into that knowing that that if I succeeded in stopping her, although she would get those punishments, and well, I think the other thing is, well, that's part of it. I think the main part is that, like, um we I think I kind of hinted it, but like I think I knew her very well.
Mm-hmm.
We trained up together as part of the assassins, and I think I didn't tell her of what I was going to do, and partially because I didn't trust her, even though we had trained up together. Well, there you go, paranoia. Uh, and
But she trusted you.
yeah, I think she put a lot of faith in me. And when I broke that faith, she put that faith in something higher, and that's all she cares for now. And I kind of did that to her.
Excellent. I think that's a good answer. Captain, what faint hope do you cling to right now? Muted.
That my brother is alive and well and has faith in me, and that I'm not too late to save him.
It's praise on your mind, it praise on your soul. Even as you have this box that you have to transport, you're guessing if anyone finds you with it, it is going to be very bad news. And finally, Kala, what terrifies you to the core?
That ship that disappeared, that heresy that I recognized but can't understand. There's something happening with that. Like, especially now that we found these discs and there's all this strangeness with the jump gates and the lock thing, that somehow something that is opening up something that shouldn't be opened.
We've already seen things that shouldn't be. And certainly some of the notes and the lines in these sort of mad scribblings remind you of some of the things you saw there. You will hit the Kua system, and you will sail into Coriolis. And I think that's actually where we're going to stop today, if that's okay, because I don't want to keep sniffling. But I want to do XP. We'll take up with Kua and going to Luban to deal with Burdukan next time, and we will wrap. We'll find a good wrap. We'll talk with you at the beginning of how you want to do that, recusant. If we don't get to that point, but we'll definitely do that. Let's do the end of session questions. Which I have to find. Okay. We got the point for completing the mission last time, so this wasn't completing. Did you learn something new and important about the universe? What would be, Nikos, what would you point to?
Right. Well, we found the other disc and got confirmation about what this mission was looking for. So I think that.
Okay. Anything you want to add to that, recusant, as another thing we learned?
Not sure, other than some fun details about the crew members, like I just pointing Nikos and their love of the circus. but I don't think that's important. You
Oh
went
no,
first.
but it's new. I always like that. Sherry.
I kind of want to point to the thing that the circus is the circus is the circus, that it is not a nefarious thing. It has the runaways that it has to put back and everything. It is lovely, lovely thing. And I think I love
Okay.
knowing that the circuses are still those circuses. It's not anything else.
So everybody
That's
gets to mark
important.
an XP for learning. And yes.
So should I mark an XP for completing the contract from?
Oh yeah, actually, because you should catch that XP from since the others got it last time. I think you also thwarted an existing enemy, so you all get to mark an XP because you thwarted the Lescarids at a couple of turns there. So that's all. Everybody gets XP for that, and then the last one is did one or more of your hooks create problems? Captain Nikos?
Oh yeah, my relation with the Scarred family definitely caused problems.
Okay, so mark an XP. Sherry?
Yes, I think Lascard popped up for me too.
Okay. And what about for you, Recusant?
It's not so much problems as my hooks caused heartache and a bit of existential crisis. I don't know if you call that a problem.
Oh yeah, no, it gave us scenes. It gave us good moments at the table, so you get a point for that.
Okay.
All right. So that's what we'll take up next time with our full crew here. We'll do Stars and Wishes at the end of next session, and we'll be all right. So I'm going to stop recording.
Okay.